Oh, hello, it is I, your boy Gomi, and we are going to be back with another UFC Fight Night. A lot of breaks at the end of the year. The UFC does usually run that, and they are honestly running out of fights, hence why we keep getting some really god-awful cards, to be perfectly honest with you. It's because I don't know what they're doing with the matchmaking, but they saved way too many fights for the end of the year and then for next year, and I don't know what's going on. But at least we're back with some heat, because this fight night is what fight nights should be. It really honestly is. This is a very, very good fight night card. I wouldn't say it has like a fight that could definitely be like headline or a pay-per-view, but pretty much every fight on the card and the main event, every fight on the main card except for one, honestly is pay-per-view worthy. That's how these fight nights should be. We need to stop having these nobodies or contender series alum headlining these cards or filtering in these fight nights, because it's getting annoying. But yes, we're going to be looking at UFC Fight Night Dariush versus Tsarukyan with a 5-round co-main event of not Hooker versus Green. This is the most updated version of the poster I can find. Well, not updated, but it's going to be Jalen Turner stepping in for Dan Hooker. But regardless, enough of this. Let's look at the card, because like I said, it's a pretty solid one. The only thing is, the first couple fights are not crazy, but they're not horrible either, thankfully. First fight's going to be Veronica Hardy versus Jamie Lynn Horf. I do like Veronica Hardy. She's a pretty solid fighter. Her husband, yes, husband. I was about to say, are they married? But she literally has his last name. But her husband was a pretty solid fighter back in the day, and he's a great strategic mind, so I'm sure a lot of that seeps over. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be leaning towards Jamie Lynn Horf just because of the size. Jamie Lynn Horf she's big. She's pretty big. She's got a massive size advantage, in my honest opinion. Not just weight, but just overall, I feel she's bigger and stronger. And she has a reach advantage that I feel could give Veronica Hardy a lot of trouble. Veronica Hardy, she does have a pretty sneaky BJJ game, but sneaky isn't enough to really overpower Jamie Lynn Horf, to be honest with you. So give me Jamie Lynn Horf, but give me it by decision, because I don't think Horf's a great finisher. Next fight is going to be Wellington Turman versus Jared Gooden. I'm not a fan of either guy, to be perfectly honest with you. I think both guys are not good. This is a coin flip between subpar talent, to be honest with you, and I do think it should definitely be a coin flip, to be honest with you. I should probably look up the odds, but I will do that momentarily. Ultimately, I'm going with Wellington Turman. I like his BJJ better, and I think overall he's just a cleaner fighter, honestly. He could probably go for takedowns a little bit more. Jared Gooden does have an above average takedown defense, which is something to mention, so that could prove to be problems, but overall, I still think it's going to be a win for Turman, but I think it should be more of a pick'em than it honestly is. I have pulled up the odds, and Turman is minus 198. to minus 200. I don't like that, because I think both guys could honestly drop it, to be honest with you. Belato versus Potieria. I know I don't usually like picking UFC debutantes against people who've been in the promotion for a little bit, but Potieria, he's not the best. Don't let that record deceive you. He does not have the best wins, honestly. He got destroyed by Olberg in one round. I picked Olberg to win, but that was surprising. He then has a impressive win over the corpse of Shogun Rua, so nothing matters there. And he lost his UFC debut. So yeah, half of his losses are because he got to the UFC, which has a higher skill gap than where he was fighting at before. Hence why he's not doing so hot. I think it's going to continue trend. I think Rodolfo Belato has just a ton of power. He is a very good striker. I think he's going to be able to knock out Potieria, to be honest with you. If it's not a knockout, then I'll lean towards a decision. But ultimately, I think that's a very confident pick. I was going to say lock. Would I say this is my lock? Maybe, to be honest with you, maybe. But yes, Belato by TKO. Steve Garcia versus Melquizia Costa. I always suck with his name. Melquizia Costa. I literally I don't know. I just literally heard his name. I was watching tape and I still can't pronounce it. I'm just bad with any type of Brazilian name. Forgive me. Yes. Steve Garcia versus Melquizia Costa. I'm going to be leaning towards Costa via a decision. I think Steve Garcia is a pretty competent striker. I think he's got some slick striking, but ultimately I like Costa's skills better. I'm going to lean towards Costa. I get it. Steve Garcia, he's more of a veteran, to be honest with you, but I don't think he's that impressive a fighter, to be honest with you. While Costa, I like his striking a little bit more effectively. I think he's able to box in the pocket a little bit more, and I do think his BJJ, not a ton better than Steve Garcia, but I still think it is slightly better than Steve Garcia. Just the thing is, Garcia has that insane takedown defense, so I don't expect it to go to the ground, but I can see it. I absolutely can see it. So ultimately, give me Costa by decision. Dvorak Klose versus Joe Seleski. So I just also listened to his name too. I don't know. Joe. I'm going to be leaning towards Dvorak Klose by a knockout. Dvorak Klose, he's decent, honestly. He's pretty solid of a fighter, while Seleski, he's not the greatest. I'm not a huge fan of his wins, to be honest with you. I don't think he's all that great. His main thing is his jiu-jitsu, which I think Klose could stuff his jiu-jitsu. I don't like his win over Silva. His win against Deaton was not that bad. He definitely did beat up Carl Deaton. And his win over Jared Gooden, not that great. Jared Gordon, not that great. Meanwhile, Dvorak Klose, the only time I ever saw him really get starched, I was like, oh man, he took some shots, he took some hits, was his fight against Beneil Dariush, the very famous knockout. That's where the meme comes from Joe Rogan. Yeah, by the way, in case you didn't know, the meme where Joe Rogan is holding Anik and DC and they're all crazy, that came from Beneil Dariush knocking out Dvorak Klose. He just got a little bit wild, a little bit chaotic, but he was cracking Beneil Dariush. He has very solid striking, and I definitely think he could crack a Joe Seleski and knock him out. Zach Reese versus Cody Brundage. This fight sucks. I'm going to be very quick with this one. Give me Reese by finish. I'm going to be leaning towards a submission, but I'm not sure. I just think that he'll take out Cody Brundage because I think Cody Brundage sucks. That's really it. I'm not a fan of Cody Brundage. I'm not a fan of his fighting style. I'm not a fan of him at all. I even take his negative points. If you have a win against Cody Brundage and it's not absolutely impressive, I take points away from you in some of my breakdown videos. But yeah, Zach Reese, I know UFC debutant, but before I've seen from him, he's a pretty good finisher. He is 6-0 all finishes. I believe he has 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. It's one or the other. Ultimately, I think he's going to beat Cody Brundage. His jiu-jitsu game is pretty butt. It's pretty butt, so I could see Zach Reese take him down, submitting him. But I also could see him take him out into the ground and give him some ground and pound. Miesha Tate versus Julia Avila. A very low-stakes matchup in the women's bantamweight division. A division that's dying. We have the title fight for it in January, and... I'm not too high in this division. Miesha Tate is a veteran in the sport, a very good fighter, but not one I'm really looking forward to watching, to be honest with you. Julia Avila is a little bit newer in the bantamweight division, a little bit new in the sport. I feel this is a very classic. The veteran takes out the young up-and-comer. I don't want to say up-and-coming star. Julia Avila is not that, but she is the up-and-coming fighter. Miesha Tate, she has very poor striking, which is the one thing that's going to take as a negative on her end. She is a very, honestly, she's a poor striker, to be honest with you, especially in this modern era of MMA. Back in the day, it was more serviceable. Nowadays, not so much, but her grappling is still absolutely on point, and I think she's actually going to grind her out and beat Avila by decision. I'm actually going to be going with the underdog in this case. Clay Guida versus Joaquim Silva. This fight is pretty closer I'd like it to be. Yes, Clay Guida, he's 41, I believe. He's got a lot of wear and tear. 38-20. Jesus Christ, man. Meanwhile, Joaquin Silva is a young, up-and-coming, fresh fighter, and he's been looking pretty sharp in most of his fights, to be honest with you. A lot of people are putting Joaquin Silva as his lock. I could definitely see, much like the Miesha Tate fight, the crafty veteran gets a grinds out decision, but I'm going to be more towards leaning Joaquin Silva's decision. The only way Clay Guida is going to win this if he holds down Joaquin Silva and he just pins him down and lays some praise on him for 15 minutes, which is a possibility. But ultimately, I think Joaquin Silva is going to be able to get back up from the feet, stuff his takedowns, get back up from the feet, and be able to land some punishment on Clay Guida and get that decision victory. I don't think he's going to be getting the knockout just because of how tough Clay Guida is, but it is a possibility. Clay Guida is more so susceptible to submission, hence why I got submitted by Claudio Poez, who's garbage. But I don't know. I just think Joaquin Silva, he's just going to be overall the more solid and more fresher fighter. So give me Joaquin Silva to get it by decision. And Punali Soriano versus Dustin Stallfist. I don't like this fight either. I really don't like this fight. I'm going to be leaning towards Soriano by a knockout. Why Soriano by knockout? I just think he has more power and better striking than Dustin. I don't think either guy is really that great, to be honest with you, especially in the middleweight division, which is getting better, to be honest with you. But I don't think either guys are going to make it too far. I'm open to being wrong because I love more talent in the middleweight division. But ultimately, I'm just going to go starting out by KO. Not much to say on this fight. Not a great fight. And then we're going into the good fights. Oh no, not you. Not yet. We're going to be going into the good fights, the fights I have graphics for because they're pretty solid fights overall. So we're going to be having Sean Brady taking on Kelvin Gastelum. This is going to be a welterweight matchup. Sean Brady's going to be 31 years of age, 15-1, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions, 5'10" in terms of height, orthodox stance, 72-inch reach advantage, a 2.80 takedown average, a 63.39% significant strike accuracy, minus 130 favorite for Sean Brady. Standing across from him is going to be Kelvin Gastelum, a UFC veteran, only 32 years of age, which is insane. He's going to be 18-8, 6 knockouts, 5 submissions, 5'9" in terms of height, southpaw stance, 71-inch reach disadvantage. He has a 3.63 takedown average, a 46.27% significant strike accuracy, and then he has a plus 110 underdog. He has significant wins over Chris Curtis, Ian Heisich, Jacare Souza, and Michael the Count Bisping. I just think Kelvin Gastelum's veteran ability is going to be better. Kelvin Gastelum is moving down to welterweight. And I know Sean Brady, he was undefeated. He only lost to Belal Muhammad. But Belal Muhammad, I've been telling y'all, is better than everyone's been thinking. But I also think Kelvin Gastelum is honestly a problem at this weight class. He did fight at welterweight before. He's returning back to welterweight. And he was solid at welterweight. I think he's going to be better once again, especially with how sharp and lean he's been looking. If you follow him on Instagram, he's been looking good. As long as, I've always said this, as long as Kelvin Gastelum just had a good dietitian, just actually took himself seriously, he's a force. Look at that. He is the guy who put up the best fight against Israel Adesanya up until recent times against Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland. But Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya is one of the greatest fights of all time. Kelvin Gastelum really brought the fight to Izzy. And despite Izzy having the advantage in size and reach and everything, Kelvin's crisp boxing was able to get him the W. Sean Brady is primarily a wrestler. He primarily grinds you up against the fence and takes you down eventually. We saw it against this fight against Michael Chiesa. Kelvin Gastelum is also a good wrestler. He is a good grappler overall. He has a decent takedown defense. Keep in mind, he did go up against some of the best wrestlers in the middleweight division, hence why it's gone down to around 60%. But Kelvin Gastelum's always been a good wrestler and a good boxer, and he's been solid with his leg kicks. He's just a very effective fighter overall, and I could see him beating Sean Brady the same way Belal Muhammad beat Sean Brady. Crispy boxing. Unrelenting as well, too. Good, high, solid output. He has a very high output of 3.63 significant strikes landed per minute. Sean Brady has a high output, but keep in mind, those are ground shots. Those are not standing. Standing, Kelvin Gastelum, I could see him piecing up Sean Brady far better than Bilal Muhammad did. It's just that, can Kelvin Gastelum keep on the feet against a smaller guy like Sean Brady? Yes. If you like, when Kelvin Gastelum's going up against bigger guys like Robert Whittaker or Derek Brunson, that's where he's going to struggle to keep on the feet. Against Sean Brady, absolutely could keep on the feet, and absolutely he could get that decision victory, but I'm going to be leaning towards him getting the KO. Next fight is a very good fight. Probably the best fight of the night. Rob Font versus Deiveson Figueiredo. This is going to be an insane fight. Figueiredo is moving up to the bantamweight division, and welcoming him is Rob Font. This is going to be a bantamweight matchup. Rob Font's going to be 36 years of age, 20 wins, 7 losses, 9 KOs, 4 submissions, 5'8" in terms of height. Orthodox stance, 71.5 inch reach advantage, a 0.96 takedown average, a 47.73 significant strike accuracy, minus 140 favorite. Significant wins over Adrian Yanez, Cody Garbrandt, Marlon Moraes, and Ricky Simon. Deiveson Figueiredo is going to be 35 years of age, 21 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. He's 9 KOs, 8 submissions, 5'5" in terms of height, 68 inch reach disadvantage, a 3.09 takedown average, a 59.35% significant strike accuracy, plus 120 underdog. Significant wins over Brandon Moreno, Alex Perez, Joseph Benavidez ×2, and Alessandro Pantoja. Deiveson Figueiredo moving up is going to be interesting because he's not going to be depleting himself anymore. He was cutting the equivalency of a leg in weight to make it flyweight. Now, he's not going to be cutting as much, and I saw on Instagram, he looks shredded. He looks shredded. He looks tough. It's just that Rob Font is a hard guy, because the thing is, I like Deiveson Figueiredo against a lot of these bantamweights. I really do, because he has power. I feel like he might lose a little bit of the power, but he still has a ton of it, even in this higher weight class. And he's got good BJJ. His BJJ is very solid. He's got really good jiu-jitsu. But Rob Font is a tough SOB. I doubted him against Adrian Yanez, and he was able to knock him out in the first round, which I got to see live. I did also see live him against Corey Sandhagen, and he was out-wrestled, out-grappled. Deiveson Figueiredo is not going to... I misspelled his name. Deiveson Figueiredo is not going to be doing that. He's not going to be having the same approach that Corey Sandhagen did. But, I just overall feel the power is going to be on Figueiredo's side. Ultimately, the thing is that makes this an interesting fight and why it's really hard to pick and why it should be more of a pick'em. Well, it basically is. It's just that Rob Font's too durable. Rob Font is nigh impossible to knock out. Chito Vera is a very hard hitter in the bantamweight division, and Rob Font took his punishment and outvolued him. One of the most strikes thrown in a fight, and he lost, which is insane. But I think Figueiredo could tag him on the feet, do some damage, maybe get it to the ground, and maybe lock in a submission. I don't think he'll knock him out, and I do think Rob Font would win a decision with just his better boxing. Them, like New England Cartel, Boston boys, their boxing is just so on point. I'm just overall going to be leaning towards Rob Font to get it done in a decision, but I do acknowledge it's a tough fight. It's a really tough fight. It's hard to really pick, but give me Rob Font by decision. But God, that's going to be a banger. Absolute banger of a fight. Now, for Jalen Turner taking on Bobby Green. Jalen Turner is going to be 28 years of age. It's always weird seeing people around my age. Oh my God, that's so weird. 9 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's 13-7, by the way. 6'3" in terms of height. I believe he's the tallest lightweight. I don't know how he makes lightweight. He used to be a welterweight. Southpaw stance, 77 reach advantage. Again, how is he a lightweight? A 0.91 takedown average, a 52.55 significant strike accuracy, minus 180 favorite. He has significant wins over Jamie Malarkey, fellow Serbian Urus Medic, God, and Brad Riddell. Bobby Green's going to be 37 years of age, 31 wins, 14 losses, 1 no contest, 11 knockouts, 9 submissions, 5'10" in terms of height, orthodox stance, a 71-inch reach disadvantage, a 1.21 takedown average, a 54.90% significant strike accuracy, and a plus 150 underdog. He has significant wins over Grant Dawson, Tony Ferguson, Nasrat Takparas, and Ala Quinta. I like Bobby Green's striking. I think it's pretty solid. It's unorthodox. A lot of people kind of criticize it because it could get him caught, i.e. Drew Dober. But overall, I think it's still very effective. It's hard when those punches are coming from angles you don't expect. The only thing is, Bobby Green usually exploits that against people around his size. Now, what about someone who's not his size, like Jalen Turner? It'll be very good if he's going for body shots. If he's going to be going for body shots and trying to collapse Jalen Turner that way, that is something that can be used to great effect. I don't see him really doing that against Jalen Turner, to be honest with you. I see Jalen Turner being more effective, but I will say this. Bobby Green, he's proven to be solid. Nazar Takparas, Tony Ferguson, Ala Quinta are solid wins. Grant Dawson is honestly fraud. He got fraud checked. Fraud alert, fraud alert. Jalen Turner has only fought fraud alerts. Jamie Malarkey, fraud. Brad Riddell, fraud. Urus Medic, fraud. Can we just get a good Serbian fighter, please? I don't want to place all our hope in Alexander Rakic. I don't want to do that. But yes, Jalen Turner has not fought the best of guys. We thought he was this big up-and-coming fighter just because he steamrolled some guys, but I don't know. We see Jalen Turner get absolutely put out by Vicente Luque and Matt Favola. I could see a Bobby Green doing that. I'm going to be leaning towards Jalen Turner, but I don't think this is as big of a beatdown as a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying Jalen Turner is going to come in and demolish him. And that's the thing too. Bobby Green, keep in mind, he's fresh and he was training for a hard opponent like Dan Hooker, who's a very similar style to Jalen Turner. While Jalen Turner is coming in on 2 weeks notice, maybe even less than that. Tentatively, I'm going to be going with Jalen Turner to get it done. But what am I actually going to be betting? I'm just going to bet the over. I think this fight is absolutely going to go distance. And I think there's a high chance Jalen Turner rocks Bobby Green, drops him a lot. But I just lean more towards... I'm going to lean towards Jalen Turner to get done. I don't know. Part of me wanted to say Bobby Green would probably be the better guy in a decision, but let's go Jalen Turner. And the main event of the evening, we're going to be having Beneil Dariush versus Arman Tsarukyan. Also, one thing to mention about the previous fight, I forgot to mention this. This is a 5-round fight. Oh God, yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards Jalen Turner. Beneil Dariush is going to be taking out Arman Tsarukyan. This is going to be a lightweight matchup. Beneil Dariush is 34 years of age, 22 wins, 5 losses, 1, I can't remember if it's a draw or no contest. He has 5 knockouts, 8 submissions, 5'10" in terms of height, southpaw stance, 72-inch reach, disadvantage, a 1.91 takedown average, 53.75% significant strike accuracy, plus 230 underdog. What the hell, guys? What the hell? Significant wins over Mateusz Gamera, Tony Ferguson, not Jurgensen, Diego Ferreira, and Drew Dober. Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan is going to be 27 years of age, 20 wins, 3 losses, 8 knockouts, 5 submissions, 5'7" in terms of height, orthodox stance, 72.5-inch reach advantage, a 3.43 takedown average, a 58.59% significant strike accuracy, minus 280 favorite. Significant wins over Damir Ismagulov, Joel Alvarez, Matt Favola, and OAM. I'm not high on Beneil Dariush, I'll be honest with you guys. ever since Beneil Dariush was Beneil Dariush was rated as number 3 after he beat Tony Ferguson. I never liked that. I never liked that. I never liked that. Because he beat a Tony Ferguson who honestly just became a little bit of a ghost of his former self. Beneil Dariush has never shown to me to be elite. He did beat Mateusz Gamrot, and I was picking Mateusz Gamrot to win the fight. But other than that, like, he's never shown, oh god, this guy's amazing. He showed me as a guy who has really good BJJ, but just really good BJJ is not enough. Yes, he had that knockout win over Draco Klose, but that was just a slobber knocker brawl. It was pretty disgusting, honestly. Disgusting of a fight. Arman Tsarukyan has shown really good striking, really solid power, and he's been a great grappler. He's just been efficient in so much. He beat the crap out of Damir Esmagulov. I know Joaquim Silva did manage to rock him really bad, but guess who got knocked out by Tsarukyan? He did. And Mateusz Gamrot, Arman Tsarukyan did lose to him, but Mateusz Gamrot, he did so good in that fight. You could have gone to either guy, honestly. A lot of people do like to argue that Arman Tsarukyan won and Gamrot robbed them. I think there's a lot of people hate Gamrot. That I definitely do think Arman Tsarukyan lost that fight, but it was an extremely close fight that you could have argued either way. I overall just think, Arman Tsarukyan is just a better fighter. I just think he's so good. He's so good. He's so powerful. He can knock you out. He can submit you. He's so violent. He's such a violent fighter, honestly. And in fact, most of the times he's coming to UFC, he's mainly been knockouts over submissions, which is surprising. He used to be a big submission guy back in the regional scene. His only losses in the UFC would be to a short notice UFC debut against Islam Makhachev and a war against Mateusz Gamrot. I'm going to lean towards Arman Tsarukyan to get it done by decision. But make no mistake, that line is too crazy. A minus 280 for Tsarukyan? Dariush at plus 230? Dariush is not garbage. I said he's overrated. He's overhyped. But he's still a guy who could beat Arman Tsarukyan. We have not seen enough from Arman Tsarukyan to say he is a minus 280 over Beneil Dariush, who just fought against the former champion. Like, that's too high for Arman at this point. Still, though, tentatively give me Arman Tsarukyan to win by decision. I think it'll be a solid fight. I think it'll be a really good back and forth affair. I think it'll be very much like the Mateusz Gamrot fight, to be honest with you. But I like Arman's wrestling better than I like Beneil Dariush's jiu-jitsu. And Arman is someone who's able to wrestle toe-to-toe with Islam Makhachev years ago at the age of, like, I think 25. Also, another guy who's my age. That's just insane to me. Blows my mind that he's this good at my age, essentially. When was that fight against Islam? 2019. That was 4 years ago. Homie was 23? Fighting against Islam Makhachev? I get it. That was also younger Islam Makhachev. Still. Yeah, I think Arman Tsarukyan's going to get it done. I think Arman Tsarukyan, by decision, is going to be my pick for this fight. And overall, that is going to be all my picks for this card. Please let me know what you think in the comment sections down below. Leave a like, a comment, and be on the lookout. I will be doing a best bets video for this one, just because this feels more pay-per-view-ish, kinda. I gotta show respect and love to when they give us good fight nights, unlike the trash they've been feeding us. But yes, this has been your boy Gomi. Bye-bye.